let's transition back to the NBA and let's get to the question of the day on the show today. The question of the day: which player would you currently have, and who's better right now? Is it Jayson Tatum or is it Jaylen Brown? Comment on the Facebook Live video or on the YouTube video. Give me your vote. I'm gonna get into that here in a second, but I want to talk about Jaylen Brown and some recent comments that Jaylen Brown had speaking to the Ringer, talking about him in Boston and how he felt about being in trade rumors during the offseason last year. This is Jaylen Brown. He says, quote, on his future with the Boston Celtics: I don't know. As long as I'm needed, it's not up to me. We'll see how they feel about me over time and how I feel about them over time. Hopefully, whatever it is, it makes sense. But I will stay where I'm wanted. I will stay where I'm needed and treated correctly. He also went on to say, talking about when he was in trade rumors last offseason, KD and JT are friends, talking about Kevin Durant and Jayson Tatum. They was working out together and whatnot, so I wasn't sure what the energy was. I wasn't sure what the direction of the organization. So, also, Jaylen Brown can become a free agent after next season. So, when it comes to Jaylen Brown and his feelings about the Boston Celtics organization, I believe that Jaylen Brown is 100% correct about how he feels about the Boston Celtics organization. And I personally believe that the Boston Celtics organization, they are making a mistake because they are underappreciating Jaylen Brown. You look at what Jaylen Brown is doing this season. Jaylen Brown this year, he's averaging 26.7 points per game this season. That's a career high on 49% shooting from the floor. And when I look at duos in NBA history, when it came to the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, it was clear whose team that was and who was the alpha on that Chicago Bulls basketball team during their championship seasons. When LeBron James was in Miami, it became very, very clear after the first year when they lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. It became clear after that first year that LeBron James was the alpha on the Miami Heat's basketball team. Now, it was Dwayne Wade's team in a way because Dwayne Wade recruited LeBron to Miami. But as a player, LeBron James was the alpha on that Miami Heat basketball team. When I think about the LA Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, it's clear that Kawhi Leonard is the alpha on the LA Clippers and Paul George is his running mate. But when I think about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown with the Celtics, I don't believe that there's a significant gap between Tatum and Brown as individual players. And I believe that the Boston Celtics organization, they have underappreciated Jaylen Brown, and they've praised Jayson Tatum to a degree to where he is viewed as the clear number one option in Boston, and that simply should not be the case. I even go back to last year in the NBA Finals. Last year in the NBA Finals, Jaylen Brown played at a higher level than Jayson Tatum did. Tatum got completely shut down by Andrew Wiggins in the NBA Finals last year. Completely shut down. And Jaylen Brown, he didn't play his best, but he damn sure played better than Jayson Tatum did. He damn sure did. And I thought Brown, he showed more of a killer instinct than Tatum did last year in the NBA Finals. And if the Celtics had been able to overcome a 3-2 deficit in the NBA Finals, Jaylen Brown would have been the NBA's Finals MVP, not Jayson Tatum. So I believe that Brown feels underappreciated by the Boston Celtics organization. And when you talk to people in the NBA, in NBA circles, and you talk to the Boston Celtics organization, they believe that Tatum is the true number one option on this Celtics team. And that's why last year during the offseason, we heard rumors about the possibility of the Boston Celtics trading away Jaylen Brown to the Brooklyn Nets for Kevin Durant. And I said that would have been a bad move all the way around, because with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, you get both of them playing at a high level for the next 7 to 8 years. You only get Kevin Durant and Jayson Tatum playing together, competing for championships for the next 3 years at best. So I'm taking the 7 years with Tatum and Brown compared to the 3 years with Kevin Durant and Jayson Tatum. But not only that, the fact that Jaylen Brown's name was being mentioned in trade rumors, to me, is a disservice to Jaylen Brown as a basketball player and being the co-star to Jayson Tatum. Why is Jaylen Brown's name being mentioned in trade rumors? And why are the Celtics not appreciating the fact that they got arguably the best duo in the NBA, and neither one of them are 30? Neither Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum are 30, and they got one of the best duos, if not the best, in the NBA. I think they have underappreciated Jaylen Brown, and I think it's crazy that Jaylen Brown's name was being mentioned in trade rumors. And I'm not saying that Tatum's name should have been in trade rumors over Brown, but I believe that the Celtics, after reaching an NBA Finals, they shouldn't have even been interested in trading neither Brown or Tatum. And when I look at both of these players for their careers, this is Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum, for his career, he averages 22 points per game on 46% shooting from the floor. He shoots 37% from three for his career. Now, Jaylen Brown, in the regular season, he averages 18 points per game on 48% shooting from the floor. He also shoots 37% from three for his career. And in the playoffs, these are their playoff numbers. Tatum averages more than Brown does in the playoffs. Tatum averages 23 points per game, shooting 44% from the floor and 37% from three in the playoffs. Jaylen Brown averages 17 points per game, shooting 47% from the floor and 36% from three. So overall field goal percentage wise, Jaylen Brown shoots a higher field goal percentage than Tatum does in the playoffs. Now, Tatum averages more in the playoffs, but Tatum also gets more touches than Jaylen Brown. He gets more touches. So I think both Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are both tremendous players in this Celtics organization. Both. And I think that the Celtics are definitely championship contenders with both of them on their roster for future seasons to come. And last year, had they been able to overcome the turnovers, they could have won an NBA championship. They didn't have a true point guard last year on that Celtics team, and I think that's the reason why they struggled in the NBA Finals. And I like the addition of Malcolm Brogdon, because I think in the playoffs this year, Brogdon is going to help get Tatum and Brown in the right positions to be successful for the Celtics offense to flow at a high level. But when it comes to who's the better player, Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown, honestly, this was one of the toughest questions I've ever had to answer because I believe that both players struggle at being able to handle the basketball. Both of them. I watch games, and there are times where Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum both struggle as ball handlers. I believe that defensively, Jaylen Brown is a better defender than Jayson Tatum is. And usually, Brown guards the opposing team's best player. Now, Tatum did get better defensively last year. He did get better, and he's improved defensively. But I would take Brown's defense over Tatum's defense. Now, offensively, I believe that Tatum has a higher ceiling, and if he reaches his max potential, he could be a better scorer than Jaylen Brown is if he reaches that potential, and if he reaches the ceiling that I believe he can reach. But right now, offensively, they about even. They about even offensively because I'm a Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum fan, and I don't apologize for it. So I watch a lot of their games, and I watch games where Jaylen Brown comes out the gate ready to roll, and he's, bringing the Celtics along, and he's carrying them in the early stages of games. And sometimes Tatum is shooting inefficiently in the beginning of games, and as the game goes along, Tatum starts to shoot better and get into a rhythm. It's almost as if Jaylen Brown, he gets the Celtics going, and sometimes Tatum finishes games for the Celtics. It happened in a game about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. Celtics were in Philadelphia. This was right after the All-Star break. I think it was like the third game after the All-Star break. Tatum was terrible the entire game. He shot a terrible field goal percentage shooting-wise. And Jaylen Brown, he carried the Celtics most of the game, but when the Celtics needed a bucket, Jayson Tatum, he scored the game-winning three-point shot that lifted the Celtics over the Sixers. So I think when you compare both of these players, they about even. It's hard for me to pick one. But if I had to really pick one, because of his upside, I would say that Jayson Tatum is slightly better than Jaylen Brown. But if someone is debating me and they say I'm taking Jaylen Brown over Jayson Tatum, I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to try to take away from the caliber of player that Jaylen Brown is. I'm not mad at you if you say Jaylen Brown is better than Jayson Tatum. I just think with his upside, I think that Tatum could be one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, like a Carmelo Anthony, like a Kevin Durant, like a Tracy McGrady, if he reaches his max potential. But again, I think they're if you want to say they're both on the same level, I'm okay with that too. But call into the show, 513-203-8655, 513-203-8655. The last thing I'm going to say about this, I believe that the Boston Celtics are championship contenders for the next 6 to 7 years with Brown and Tatum. And I think the Boston Celtics organization needs to show some appreciation for Jaylen Brown and appreciate him the same way they appreciate Jayson Tatum. They got to show him some love. Like they are both good players, and they both have the potential to be great. Again, we knew in Chicago Jordan was the alpha. We knew in Miami after year one, LeBron was the alpha. We know that in Los Angeles on the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is the alpha. But in Boston, I don't believe that there's a true alpha. I think they are on the same level. So the Celtics organization needs to appreciate Jaylen Brown the same way they appreciate Jayson Tatum.